What's up, Muddux here. This is my longbow shortbow build, building off of both weapons. We're going crit damage and power. So we're not giving any conditions because we don't want to build mainly for shortbow. We want to have both weapons doing the direct damage and not nerfing the other one. So going in for mostly the power tree and the crit tree here. As you see, that trait gives you 20% off of both the longbow and shortbow, so it's a win-win for this build. And we go into 10 for the toughness because you get that 50% endurance, which is huge. You need to dodge and stay at range with this kind of build, and also you want that 20% off of your survival. So your Quickening Zephyr mainly has 20% off of its cooldown. That's going to be a huge thing for your DPS. You go into Rampage. We don't have the Warhorn, so we want those buffs. I love this ability. It's the break stun, and it's also an extra dodge. It comes in handy almost all the time. And then I also go with this Signet, which wipes off conditions every 10 seconds, and it's also a break stun. I don't use that break stun very often because I like to have that 10-second conditions on it, but it's nice to have in case your other one's on cooldown. So longbow and shortbow both have their benefits. Longbow, obviously, you get AoE, and it's a great AoE because once you're done with this channel, on that, it keeps on casting. So you can just kind of stay there, run around, and it's going to continue to cast. As you can see, it does a ton of damage. I stole 2 kills here just by casting that. And another thing it does is to open up on somebody, or if you want to keep your distance, go ahead and throw it on top of yourself or in front of them. And they have to choose either to come into it to get in range with you, or to just wait it out and let you range attack them. This ability is also a great opening ability. It's on a 24-second cooldown, so you can't use it too often. So if they give you the opportunity to use it, go ahead and use it. And you'll see that if you're using that in conjunction with the vulnerability or the number 3 ability on the longbow, with the 2 ability, and you have a good range on them, you can get them down almost immediately. And I'll show you that a little later. But also, the thing is, if you saw my other video where I did some testing with the longbow, you'll know that the 2 ability with the vulnerability isn't enough damage to compete with the shortbow at close range. It does less damage than just the shortbow auto attacks, and you're also missing out on a bunch of kiting abilities, which you need at short range. You get that little jump back, which also gives you a swiftness with the shortbow, and you also get a stun and a cripple. So since the damage is better at short range, it's obviously a lot better for kiting around. If you find yourself in a situation like this, you're probably going to find yourself in trouble because it's just a tight situation, and thieves, they have so many gap closers that there's not much you can do. You see I'm using all of my dodges, trying to stay alive, but I just can't get the distance on them. This is a ranged build, so if you can't get the range on them, you're not going to be able to get them down because you're obviously not going to go toe-to-toe with Thief while you're just shooting them. You got to get some range and get as many attacks as you can, and if they start getting on you, you have to get away from them. Ranges are really built for dodging and getting away from people, so when you're in a tight situation like that, you're going to find that you're actually going to have to run towards them because you have nowhere else to go. So if you can't use those abilities to maximize your dodging and getting away from people, you're going to find yourself in some trouble. But as you can see, when you do have the open space, you just can use whatever burst abilities you can and get them down. So use Quickening Zephyr there with the short bow, and it just tore through his health because we were at short range and the longbow was just all out of cooldowns. So obviously you're going to want to switch to the more favorable auto attack from the short bow. And I popped Quickening Zephyr because the short bow with Quickening Zephyr, you just get so many crits out of all that fast damage that you're doing. As you see, when I'm fighting melee, I throw that number 5 ability over myself a lot because they have to either stay out of it, or if they want to DPS me, they have to come into it, which is going to cripple them and do a bunch of damage. And since it cripples them, I can get out of there and get away from them, and they remain crippled as long as they're in there. They could, of course, dodge out of it. But when you are fighting a ranged class, you know that they're not actually going to be coming towards you, so you cast it over them. You try to get that combo that we talked about earlier out of it, which is the number 5, and then switch to the vulnerability, and then use your number 2 ability and try to get the most burst because you know they're not going to come in at you, so you can keep that range and get the most DPS on. And then once you're out of those abilities, you really have nothing left, so you switch to the short bow and maximize your DPS as you're only using auto attacks, and you're just bursting them down while you avoid Circle of Deaths from Necros. Another thing that's really good with the longbow is the knockback. So if you're not using it to get it away from melee, you can always use it just for ranged and knocking them off of things so you can get the high ground. I call it the troll shot just because it annoys people so much. You can knock them off cliffs, knock them into pits. I killed somebody in World v World a couple times. Just kept on knocking him when he got to a point. It was kind of a jerk move, but it was really funny. So you have Guardian here, and strictly just with the short bow, as long as you're dodging a Guardian's great sword pull ability, you're going to do fine just using the short bow alone. And you can just kite him down, use that Zephyr, and you're going to get a ton of damage on him. You see we got this thief who wasn't paying attention at that distance, and we saw how fast he went down. That was the combo I was talking about. As long as you keep a good distance on them, they're gone. That guy actually rage quit after that. I couldn't find him anywhere. But in a lot of situations, you're going to find that you can't use that combo. You have to just you have to figure out what's going to work depending on the situation. Just be clutch. What's going around? Just be aware of your surroundings. What's being the attacks going on, and obviously if you can't get that combo off, going to the short bow is absolutely fine because you can do so much damage, especially if they're getting close to you like that Elementalist was trying to do to me. Now this thief, we're going to use the combo, and I'm actually going to use Quickening Zephyr with that combo, and this is just hilarious. I didn't even realize he went down this fast when I first did this. I was like, wait, oh, he's dead. I didn't even get to finish off my combo at all. He got really mad, so he tried to get me again and used the same combo. So number 5, Quickening Zephyr, that shoots that thing off so fast, and then use that. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Rangers kind of can focus in on stealth if they're using that ability, that number 2 ability. It's not very fair. It happens. But then again, they can hit me for 8k with one ability without me even knowing that they were there. So it is what it is. Thanks for watching, guys.